the way that video and audio get approached when it comes to budget for events and production, that sort of thing. Those are like the hard and fast. We need a camera, we need audio. It's got to work to this quality level. Lighting is just this very, we need some of this and maybe a little bit of that. But if you really listen to your lighting designer and you really take that budget and you apply it to these designs, these aspects, you can really see people like go, oh, wow, like that was a really cool event.
Come into the light.
Shadow moves in the dark.
Congratulations! World's best cup of coffee.
What is it? Gaff tape.
Hey everybody, welcome to Coffee and Gaff Tape. We are on lucky episode 13.
Well, yes and no, because we're actually starting season 2 of Coffee and Gaff Tape. So this is episode 1 of season 2. We are 12 episodes old, so this will be 13. Thank you to everyone who has joined us along the journey these past 12 months. Just super excited to see the reception and the way that you guys have been interacting with the show.
Absolutely.
Really hope that along the way you all have felt just loved, seen, appreciated, and valued through this podcast. And here's to another 12 episodes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And today's episode is
the wardrobe.
The wardrobe
is sponsored by MixU.
Our friends.
Thank you very much, Lee. Appreciate it. I told you I would wear it on the podcast. So.
You have a whole story behind that sweatshirt, but
I do.
I have to save that for another show.
We will.
Yeah.
We will.
I also like the fact that they thought about it from all angles, because the audio people won't respect this, but if you're looking at the over the shoulder shot,
there you go.
Got the MXU logo there.
Nice placement, Lee.
Way to go, MXU crew, with that.
Awesome. Awesome. So should we not ignore our guest?
We should probably introduce Mr. Lopez.
Yes, we should. Nate Lopez is joining us in studio. So video folks watching this, you already know that. But
it's our first in studio guest of the show.
It is the first.
Yeah. Which
what a way to kick off season 2.
Absolutely.
Right?
Maybe, yeah. We should bring Nate around more and have him in here maybe.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We have a whole podcast to decide. That's awesome.
Thank you for having me here.
No, absolutely. So, like we said, Nate Lopez is in studio with us. Freelance lighting designer, right? You also own your own company.
Yep. Own Light HD.
Light HD, awesome. Feel free to plug that as many times as you want.
Light HD.
Absolutely.
Got some merch or anything?
Right.
Actually, I should have brought a sticker for the bottle.
Hey, there we go. There we go. Next time.
Right.
Yeah. I just like, Daniel and I were talking before, and we were saying, this show, obviously, we want to bring in every aspect of production.
Yes.
We talk a lot about churches. We talk a lot about, obviously, video, because that's what we do. We kind of have a thing about video and video streaming somewhere in there. But one of the things that we always say, and that always comes up, is when you're a good video director or a good person that's using video, is making good friends with the LD.
That's right. That's right.
So
we brought in an LD to ask why.
Making friends with an LD.
Right. No, absolutely. So Nate, let's kick off the episode with kind of our traditional first question, like, help us understand, who is Nate Lopez?
Great. Sounds like a great question. Well, I've been here in Colorado for about 5 years doing lighting design. Become one of the, I guess, not top of the list, but one of the guys on the list that gets called to do different events around Denver when I'm not doing my own thing, my own company. So, which is nice. So I pick up different jobs with different people. Got a family at home, beautiful wife, a dog that I'm starting to love. So
there we go.
So that's a little bit about me. So
that's
I
awesome.
actually attend at Red Rocks Church.
Oh, nice. We know them.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Resi over at Red Rocks Church. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks. So now that we know you, we can end the podcast.
Great.
And that's about it. We're friends now, right?
There you go.
That's all we've been told.
Accomplished our
we
goal.
just need to make friends with the LD. No, there's more to go. All right. So one of our favorite questions is just kind of like hearing how you got into the world, or shadows, as we like to say, of production. Take us through that journey and how you ended up.
Well, starts a long time ago.
All right, many moons.
Far, far away.
Yes.
No, I was lucky, I guess you could say, maybe not, to be born into a family where my dad actually ran sound for church.
No way.
And so from time I was an infant or whatnot, I was sitting in my dad's lap behind the audio console.
So you were born in the shadows.
Born into the I was born back
with
in
the
the
black,
shadows,
black.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No,
Nice.
actually, this didn't come till many years later. I would say growing up in church gave me a lot of opportunities to take advantage of production, or the opportunity to do production, and I think that really did grow my interest and my desire to do this and to do it well, so that people didn't notice it. So I was in the shadows,
Yeah.
Right.
And that actually led to my desire, or my interest into lighting, I think. So when I was about 7 years old or so, I really took a passion to kind of tweaking and playing with lights and seeing how that changed things. And kind of that's where I kind of kicked this whole lighting career, and became a lighting designer probably pretty early on. I would say about 15 was when I started to really take into my own, like I went out and purchased 16 intelligent moving lights back
Nice.
when those were not even really heard of. You didn't
Yeah.
really see, I mean, here and there's the big bad boys, and then there's the little tiny DJ ones, but you didn't really see a lot of middle of the road guys with a whole onslaught of lights that they could throw at a stage, and so that was one of the things I enjoyed, was getting to kind of dazzle people a little bit, and getting to take things up another notch, and really get to play with my ideas that were in my head.
Wow.
So, and that's where I kind of started to learn, oh, this is what works, this is what doesn't work, this is where I can add value, this is where I'm taking away, and
Right.
all those different experiences, different events. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing. So take us back to maybe, like, I'm sure maybe this was when you were 8 years old. I don't know. But like, what was your first gig, and like, what did that, like, how was that experience?
My first paying gig. Oh, you want to know my first? Let's see. I think my first actual paying gig, where I wasn't just, that actually comes with a story to itself.
Please.
I had purchased all these lights. I had a landscape maintenance business that I started. And that's how I got the, X amount of dollars to purchase all these lights.
Right.
16 lights are it's some money.
Yeah.
My parents started seeing me spend a lot of money. And they were
That's when they started to get worried.
yes. And they said, well, you can keep giving your talents away and doing these different church events and that sort of thing, or you can go get a job at Burger King, or you can just start turning dollar with this, And I had other people telling me, like, this, what you do is great, like you can make money with this, like you're gonna eventually you'll be somebody, or this will turn into something. And I'm like, that's great. Yeah, I'll start charging people for this. Actually, a church that I've been doing a few little free jobs for, they're like, we got a winter camp. What would you charge us for this? Do you want to do all these lights for, our high school, middle school winter camp? It's 2 weeks back to back. And I was like, yeah, sure. And that was my first
No way.
gig. Yeah, awesome. Where it actually turned into a profit. And I realized, I was like, whoa. Like, what I do, like I can do this as a job, like this is an actual job. So, and then it just kind of went on from there until I got counseled later on, like, you need to charge more, giving everything away. Like, there's the whole farm. No. So it was kind of, that was my beginnings. And then it just kind of grew into trying to make that stable and, struggling through 07, 08, with the times changing and, everybody's kind of hurting a little bit. That's where my contracting career started, where I started picking up work with different companies and starting to see my value as not only trying to start my own platform, my own business, but really taking off with, I can assist these other companies. They want to pay good people to do good work for them. And that makes sense. Like, why not fill out my rest of my calendar instead of just, sitting around twiddling my thumbs or polishing up my gear, actually like dive into something bigger than I've done and get more experience.
I think that's pretty cool. 'Cause I think a lot of times, people will jump right into that and just start working for a company. But you took the other approach of, hey, I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna be entrepreneurial from the beginning and really get this going because it's something I love.
The entrepreneurial spirit is definitely it's strong. I've done a number of things, and lighting is I've had to hone it in and say lighting is definitely my passion. So, so I think that's where kind of where I got my start, and now I do exactly that. I've kind of continued to grow my business through different life changes. moving here out to Denver and kind of regrowing it, and it's been how long have I had this thing? 15 years, something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, something like that. Wow.
No,
almost 20 years. I'm losing track of it.
That's all right.
I started when I was like 15, 16, and that's when I established it. So,
all right, Nate. So
wait. I got one question.
Oh, all right.
One question for the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
Do all lighting designers also around Christmas time trick out their houses?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
But I did get some hate mail or whatever during COVID, near the peak of COVID. So the end of 2020 peak, whatever you want to call it. We're still in this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We ended up, I wouldn't say struggling, but I was working hard to support my family. And so the desire and the emphasis on doing lights on my house fell to the wayside.
I got you.
And
Hey, that's all right. That's fair.
Came back in 2021. Yeah.
Nice.
Last year, and did a really nice get up at my house.
There you go.
Awesome.
As far as the previous year goes.
Hey, that's okay.
So, but yes.
You're allowed to take a year off.
Yeah.
I don't know. My neighbors didn't think so.
We approve.
There's some pretty cool. It's like here in Broomfield, there's like a lot of like engineers for some reason up and probably lighting people and whatever. And like, it amazed me driving through this year of like how many people have like Arduinos hooked up, and they have like, you can go up and like select a song and then tune it in on the radio and everything.
Oh wow, that's the next level.
It's a big deal.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I had to ask that.
That's
I know we're a little bit past Christmas time, but like it was just on my mind.
So Daniel and I, we're video guys.
Yeah.
Help us understand the world of lighting. What are some things in terms of lighting that you think like, hey, from a production perspective, most production people don't understand?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to lighting, I think or production people, if you're referring to video production people, is that, or just?
Yeah, just production in general.
Okay.
And it's okay if you say everything.
And
we don't understand, which I think would be fair.
As long as you don't use the word vidiot. That's
Ooh.
Wow.
it's a little too close to
Yeah, no, I've heard that one.
Does that hit a little too close to home, Nate?
maybe.
Okay.
No, I would say that one of the things, budget. I would definitely say budget. I would say that in response to the way that video and audio get approached when it comes to budget for events and production, that sort of thing. Those are like the hard and fast. We need a camera, we need audio. It's got to work to this quality level. Lighting is just this very, we need some of this and maybe a little bit of that. But if you really listen to your lighting designer and you really hear what they're saying, or if you have a good lighting designer, some lighting designers are just like, whatever's on the Excel, whatever you give me,
right.
I'll just work with it, whatever.
I have mag lights, perfect.
Yeah. Hey, don't bosh mag lights. That's where I got this whole interest.
No.
But I guess what was I going to say? If you listen to your designer and you take what their passion, you pull. If you have a good lighting designer and they have a passion for something more, for something, an actual design that will enhance what it is you're trying to do, and you apply a budget to it, oh my goodness, the rewards, the I would say I'm looking for that word, but
benefits.
The result of that, especially when you're looking at an event that's turning, that's reoccurring, whether it's week to week, year to year, whatever, and you really take that that budget and you apply it to these designs, these aspects, you can really see people like go, oh wow, like that was a really cool event, or wow, that that came off differently, or that I didn't get it, but that just looked amazing. It was really appealing, and you can tell that if you watch television. You can see the shows are there. They got the budget, and, and the lighting designer just sings. The lights just. They're there, and you're like, that was a great show, like and you want to watch another one of it, or you want to end up seeing what else comes out of this, and then you have the other shows that are kind of lacking, and you're like, well, this is kind of a B class, C class kind of show. But how are you telling that? I mean, the video's there, the audio's there. Yeah, it's really the production, the lighting, and how the set, what they're building, what is it that you're perceiving that's the lighting is enhancing or taking away from. Yeah,
that's really interesting. So you bring up a good point here, and I've noticed, especially like in the church world, set design a lot of the time like merges with lighting, because you're using I don't even know what they're called, light stacks or blinders or whatever, and you're using kind of tape, LED tape. You're using all these different things to like create the set, but they're also lighting elements. How much do you get involved in that? And like what's your favorite part of when a set design uses lighting in tandem?
How much do I get involved?
Yeah, like how much are you like involved in a stage design when it includes like lights and things like that?
Well, it depends on which or where it's coming from. Sure. So a lot of events, a lot of things I get brought into, it's already been established. This is the look. This is what we're going to. We want you to pull off. Can it be done? And then a budget dictates a lot. It's like, oh, we have this X amount of lights, so we can make it look, or I say, oh, we can make it look like this, or we can make it look like that. So when it comes down to like a no budget job, or where you're coming in and like, oh, design it from blank, make it look like this from blank. And then they hear about the numbers and then they make decisions later.
Dang it.
Yeah. It really comes down to money, and lighting is the first thing that gets cut.
Yes.
I'm trying to answer that one to like how you're asking it, as far as does it involve, or how's it change the set?
Yeah, because traditionally, I think in my mind, before, in my mind, set design normally was like its own thing. Yeah. And then lighting was its own thing. Lighting was up in the grid, it was hidden.
Lighting is very utility driven.
Right. And now like lighting has become this like all-encompassing thing when it comes, like very prevalent when it comes to stage design. Right. Just curious on like how you approach that, and like what your thoughts are on that kind of like transition from like we have sets and lights to now like lights being part of the set and all that different stuff.
Well, when it comes down to the shows that I've designed, lights have always been in the set.
There you go. There you go. Fair enough.
I don't know how long ago it was that lights weren't in the set.
I do think it's interesting that way, like even from a video perspective, like, in the shows that I've been involved with, lighting has taken much more of a key approach, even in terms of, hey, we've got this LED video wall and it's all being driven by the MA or whatever as well, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Some of those elements of lighting becomes, moving from a utility to really like kind of the driving piece of the show that kind of pulls all the other elements together. Yeah. I had one question too. You were talking about, obviously how lighting is the first thing to get cut. And
I'm so sad about that now.
And how
don't be sad.
How a good relationship and a good production starts with having video and lighting, working in tandem and working together with that. What would you say? And this is probably more for like an install perspective, but like where would somebody start in terms of developing a system that is low cost but is going to have the best results? Like, where do you see most people kind of skimping when it comes to developing out a good look?
A good hazer.
Good hazer.
Ooh. If you're looking for that, that look where you got the beams in there and everything. Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's the last thing on people's mind.
Sure.
And they see the price tag and they're like,
yeah.
They're like, well, you got to take out some lights. I'm like, but that's what's going to make the lights look good. Like,
Yeah.
I would say a good hazer is a really good thing to keep in mind.
Yeah.
It's not a lighting thing. It's not light necessarily.
Right.
It's what enhances
Sure.
everything.
So
if that's the look you're going for.
Yeah.
If it's not, then that's not the look you're going
A
for.
good hazer and then a Walmart fan to sit on top.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta disperse that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing actually how much you can spend on a production fan versus just going down Walmart and buying a $25 fan.
It's usually what I see though is
but you got to be in season. So like I grew up in Chicago, and so like when we needed a fan or our fan broke, it was always like off season. Walmart didn't have fans in stock, and so it was like we were borrowing from other people.
I always buy two.
So
I use one and I got one on the shelf. Yeah,
this podcast has been worth it just for that. Just for that.
Key wisdom.
You never know when that haze fluid's just gonna wear at that. But
right.
actually,
What's your choice for a hazer?
Oh man, Aquamax MP.
All right.
So it's the second generation of the Aquamax series hazers from CITC or CIT. I might be botching the
That's all
company's
right.
name, but you can look up the Aquamax.
Yeah.
MP. It's a organic hazer.
Granola.
It's based off of like vegetables and stuff.
No way.
Yeah, I was at LDI and the guy who invented it, he's like, I can't actually do this like in front of you guys, but I could like drink this. Like,
Wow.
I guess you could drink like most of the water-based taste
Right.
stuff.
So
like,
it's
not gonna
water-based,
kill
not
you,
oil-based then.
But it's
That's
water.
what I
Yeah,
said,
it's like a water-based thing. And he's had it not set off fire alarm or smoke detectors. He's had
Blessed.
choirs and big time singers like not be have that response to like,
Wow.
my asthma is acting.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. I've used it a number of times for different events. It is on the lighter side. It doesn't pump out like a radiance or something like that where
Sure.
you're like, oh, this is some thick haze. It's like, it's there.
Right.
And it hangs well.
Plus, you get 5% of your daily nutritional value.
Yeah, sure.
You're breathing.
What you're breathing, yeah. No, but it's probably one of my top ones. Base hazers are great. Radiances are great. Those are all good hazers. But going back to to touch on that, hazers are good. I think key light is an important thing. Just having the right kind of face light. A lot of times there's more emphasis on the stage, on the moving lights and the LEDs and everything that makes the stage look cool and look awesome. And then people lack on the amount of face light.
Sure.
And they go cheap. Or if they're looking at upgrading, that's like the last thing they want to upgrade. And I get it. Like you want to see your money. You want to see it in the camera. You want to, get these cool effects and that sort of thing. But don't forget about it because that's the thing that's that's what's there to light your people. What's on stage. So, and LED engines are coming so far as LED Lecos and LED PARs. And I've seen a number of venues where we're using, LED movers for washing a stage and lighting a stage. And it works because then you got 8 lights doing the job of 32 instead of, 32 lights for 8 different positions, or however that works out. Probably not a good math formula there, but you get the point.
No, absolutely.
And the LD has so much more flexibility at that point to be like, oh, I need to do this right now, or I've got this look on stage, or this guy didn't show up. If you're thinking of the worship sense, this guy didn't. He was at rehearsal. He's not here today. I don't need to light that part of the stage, and I can use those lights to do this, that sort of thing. So that's kind of where moving lights for a stage wash come in.
Well, I'm going to say it again and again in terms of investment. Like, I think a lot of people come to us and say, well, I got to upgrade my cameras. And the first question we always ask them is, what are you doing with your lighting? So like find a good LD, find somebody like Nate or somebody in your community that can teach you about those basics like key light. Make sure you don't have those raccoon eyes or whatever, and really hone that in before you even think about cameras.
Yeah, and if I can touch on that, finding a good LD, it's actually key, I would say, and it's hard because you don't know anybody from anybody, until you get to experience them once or hear somebody else's, heartfelt experience. Budget is such a big thing when it comes to lighting because it's, people like to hack and slash, they slash the budget down because they don't see the value coming out of it. Don't overspend on any piece of equipment, I think, but also don't underspend on any piece of equipment. If you if you spend too much, you're hurting and you're not going to get all the lights you need. If you spend too little, you're hurting also because you're just band-aiding a situation. You're going to end up having to replace those lights later. You're going to end up wanting to upgrade, and then those lights that you didn't replace are now obsolete because they don't quite have the punch or the value. The cheaper the light you go, the quicker it's going to fail. The more expensive light you go, it's also going to fail, but it's costing you a lot more, and it's going to cost a lot to replace it. So I would aim for the high middle of the road. Definitely stay away from like Chinese gear, because unless it's serving like a one-time purpose,
Sure.
you don't want that in your house of worship or in your rental inventory or whatever, because it's just gonna cost you more money, and it's gonna lose you more jobs than it's ever gonna gain you, money down the road, that sort of thing. Unless you're just trying to start out. I started in the Chinese world.
Yeah.
So I can't, that was my, start was, buying a whole bunch of moving lights that, performed really well, but didn't cost a whole lot, and kind of use that to my advantage to get jobs. So
Yeah.
you got to know when too cheap is too cheap.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned something a couple times I want to make sure to ask about, because again, coming from, the church world, there can kind of be this like negative stigmatism when it comes to like lighting. Like lighting creates a show, and like it's worship, not a show, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Please don't start any Facebook comment wars. I'm asking a question. Okay, guys. But you've used the word enhance, and lighting enhances a situation, a moment, a mood, a worship set. How would, the people listening, watching, kind of approach leadership that maybe is like, we have enough lights, I think we already have too many.
Right.
How could you coach them in a way to help position lighting as not this like showy thing, but more of an enhancement?
Here's my soapbox.
Please.
Go.
Oh man, this has been my whole life, I have to say, because I grew up in church and I've helped a lot of churches. I've done a lot of consulting and helping them, design and move forward and that sort of thing. There is a time and a place for everything. There's the right amount of lights for the right job, and I agree that it isn't all budget driven. A lot sometimes this is just our belief that this is going to, make it too showy or whatnot. Sure. I've had churches that have told me that we're perfectly happy with the way it looks, just update our equipment and then come back later and go, we want it to look like that, which was what I was trying to pitch earlier on, which is a little bit more, but with a little more gusto and a little bit more, something that, I don't know, it's just, so I say enhance is where lights are flattering to so a lot of what I've done is I'll come into a space and I'll uplight things architecturally, or I'll uplight scenic pieces or whatnot, and that just helps enhance them. And you want to do it tastefully to the point of where it's not taking away necessarily. It's making it look better, but not looking better in a way that's flashy. Just looking better in the way that it. You don't notice. It just looks good. Right. Like we've all looked at a TV. We've seen, good lighting. We've seen where things just are acceptable, where it just looks good. I reference TV because everybody watches Netflix and whatever day, now. So it's like, you've all seen good lighting or when it's bad. Yeah. You can notice when it's bad. But as far as bringing around people who are making decisions that you need more lights or you need to, change the way you're doing things, maybe you don't. I'm not the one to say like this is the direction or this is your vision, like for a church to say change your vision. Like that's actually one of my first questions when I come in and do consulting. I say, hey, I like to see what you guys where's your stance on worship? Where's what's your vision on the way that you guys are presenting yourself?
Really starting with the heart of it.
Yeah, the heart of it, and why?
Yeah,
do you need all the lights? I could sell you a whole bunch of moving lights. Like I'm not personally going to sell you, but I could design a system that has a whole bunch of moving lights, hazers, all kinds of crazy projection, that sort of thing. But for one, is that the way that you want to be represented in? And if it is, great. We can make it look really great. If not, then why? Why are you doing that? Why or who who is pushing that and why are they pushing that? And is it something you do need to consider? Is that person's recommendation? I would say I was in a position where I was at a church and the direction was not moving that direction as quickly as I liked. And, looking back on it years later, it's just, they weren't moving that direction. That's their stance.
Sure.
So that was, that was their vision was not aligned with the vision that I had. And I just had to realize that. And I realized that through, eventually I moved somewhere else where I did see the vision, that they were moving that direction. Actually, I fell in love with the heart of worship at this other church. And so that's kind of where I found home. But yeah, they were kind of aligned, and the church that I was going to was just not moving in that direction.
Sure.
So
you found a worship experience that was kind of in line with what your vision was.
Right.
And you felt like you were able to kind of join up with that.
Yeah.
And, you just kind of realized the other church that you were at just didn't have that same vision.
Correct.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it.
Oh,
sure.
And later on, just looking at it as like realizing that was their stance. That, didn't need to change them. So,
Awesome.
But yeah, if that helps.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful, I think.
Yeah, I think hopefully there's something in there. Somebody can pull out.
Somebody heard what they needed to hear.
Maybe. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
We'll just cut it and put it back together. And
Just the clip, the soundbite for
right.
social.
Yeah.
So for you, Nate, we've talked a little bit about kind of the entrepreneurial side and how you do the installs and kind of equip churches to succeed. Which, by the way, we'll definitely throw your contact information somewhere so people can kind of get a hold of you if you want that influx of emails or.
I would
Instagrams
appreciate talking
DMs.
to anybody who wants to come.
But beyond that, so you do the freelance. What does your day-to-day kind of look like as a freelance LD?
Answering a lot of phone calls, answering a lot of emails, returning emails and phone calls to find out that the work is not there anymore, thanks COVID. Yeah, so it's kind of that. It's a little bit of you take your high moments with your low moments. You try to, as a freelancer, you realize that nothing's promised as far as work goes, especially in these times where we just don't know. Something might change the way people view events and why their importance, and then all of a sudden you're not working. As it's happened in the last couple of weeks, we've seen things change a little bit again. Towards the end of last year, things were thriving. They're going really well. So, and I was turning down more work than I could take. So there was different points where, I was getting 7 different companies calling me for the same period of time for several different events, and it's like, no guys, I already booked a job. Like I can't take all I try to find, and, being in text strings or email strings with other LDs that I know in the area, and they're all, we're booked too. Like we can't do it. So it's just kind of
crazy how fast
comes and it goes,
up and down.
Up and down.
Wow.
So,
Right.
but I am thankful for the slower times as well as because I've got, responsibilities with my own company that I can hone in, do things at home and get things done to keep my business on track. So that's, I would say being a freelancer is an experience that I value in both being busy and not being busy. When you're working for somebody full time, or myself, I guess full time, that's always there. That there's always the responsibilities and that sort of thing, or you always have to get up, get dressed, go into the office, and be there, whether there's a workload or not. So, but yeah, it's definitely a challenge being a freelancer. So.
Yeah, for sure.
What, especially in this current time, what would you say to other people who are kind of aspiring freelance LDs or people that are really interested in getting into something like that? Is this still a time to dive into something like that? And
I would say the end of 2021, I was calling everybody I knew who had any interest in production and telling them, get on this bandwagon. There's so much heat right now for, so much work going on. I couldn't imagine it going cold again. it went cold again. I know. But also I feel like we're right on the edge of the next wave, not to be kind of like philosophy about where we are.
You've heard it here first. You heard it here first.
I feel like there's it's coming again.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be, getting, I don't think we can go back to the years prior.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to throw everything aside and just keep moving forward.
I think people realize just how important it is in their life of being able to actually get out and physically go to an event and be a part of a crowd, be a part of an experience. And it's like, people have said for a long time, like cinema is going to die because it's like, no, people want to be in that experience. But in terms of like virtual stuff, that's kind of another trend that I know has kind of emerged, obviously with video, with COVID. Do you see a lot of that from a lighting perspective of preparing virtual experiences? And we'll talk some of that later too.
As far as a virtual experience, as far as filming them, or as far as doing them in a more of a virtual realm where it's
doing more like, are you finding yourself doing lighting for more not produced experiences, but more virtual or
like, are you talking metaverse?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, that's where I thought you were going.
I think there's a lot of
hybrid events,
like
online events, hybrid events, stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, a lot of my work coming out of the period of the dark ages during COVID was a lot of the hybrid events, or purely just for online content, or for something that's being captured and no people in the audience. Just, I don't think is a hybrid because you don't have people there.
Right.
There was a lot of work doing that. A lot of the events I'm doing now, you can see like triple the emphasis on video production now, just because of that online experience or online, what's going on. As far as lighting goes, it's a give and it's a take. I'm seeing some events where they're like, yes, we need more lighting because we haven't had it for camera, in the past, and we know we need it. We need good face light. We need something to umph the event to make it, something that's viewable, that's watchable, and people enjoy. And then I've seen it go the other way, where it was a 3,000-ish somebody person event that got hacked down to like 30 people or 100 people. And this huge scaled, lighting rig went down to just what's on camera, just not a whole lot. You get budgets that are cutting by a tenth, into a tenth of what they used to be. And you're just like reeling at like, do I even do this job? Like, do I keep this client happy and do the job in hopes that things will turn around later? Those are the kind of things where you start kind of going like, what am I doing with my time here? It's like, this was something, now it's, but that's kind of where everybody is the regrowth and understanding, hopefully this is just a period. We've been shown last year, it was just a period, and things are, shifting and moving, getting going again. So, but as far as lighting goes, I don't think the lighting has changed a whole lot for video. I think the emphasis in these events, as far as lighting being important or lack of importance because of the scale, I think it's changed that way.
Sure.
So, I mean, that really does get into one of the questions we have is like, when it comes to virtual events, virtual not being in the metaverse, but virtual like
that's
online, online, and then also hybrid events. Like, I've been really curious, and I know a lot of people in our community have been curious, like, what's the difference, or like, what are some of the key things that change when you're going from a fully in-person experience to a hybrid experience to a completely, pre-recorded experience with no one in the room? As a lighting designer, what are the things that are changing for you, like in the rig, in the design concept between those kind of three different spaces?
So for going to go with the just mixed down or the what's being filmed just for online, it's very much a one look wonder show. It tends to be. It's a very set and forget. The hybrid events have a little bit more flair to them. They have a little bit more emphasis on the audience. Your lighting, it kind of starts to encompass everyone. And then what it used to be as far as, or, what we're seeing, the bigger events or, when you have a full audience, that sort of thing. Right. Oh man, we got, dozens of movers in the rig, and you're getting a lot more of those crowd shots. You're getting a lot more of encompassing, making everybody there in person feel like they're part of it. You go back to just the production part of it, it almost gets down to cut to just strictly face light, whatever lighting that you need for camera, and maybe a couple little pars to emphasis, to like different aspects of the production. Sure. Of the scenic for the production. And there's not a whole lot of budget there, and it's kind of like a run your cue up
and down.
So if that's what it is currently, what can organizations that are in hybrid and virtual modes like focus on from a lighting standpoint to help those look better than just a set and forget?
Make your lighting, if it's turning into a set and forget, that there is nobody there, and there's no real. I mean, if it's a corporate thing and there's nobody there, maybe you don't need to have animation or any sort of changes. If it's more of a house of worship thing, I could definitely still see the emphasis on definitely during worship and stuff to get people juiced up, jazzed up. Kind of going back to the enhancing thing is making the lighting kind of marry with what's going on stage, marry with the experience. So it isn't just taking away, but it's enhancing the experience. I would definitely see, using the talent, or using the talents, using a multi-cue based, programming for that. And what I mean by cues is I mean like different lighting looks, different changes that are happening throughout songs or throughout the event. If you were going back to just a pre-recorded thing and you had one look or whatever, maybe you could incorporate, some sort of lighting change throughout the event, throughout the filming of it. Kind of adds a little flair when you see the intro, outro has a little bit different look to it. So
that's awesome. Yeah. And then one more thing to just touch on kind of this topic of like improving your lighting for video, whether that's a hybrid event or, a completely virtual event, pre-recorded. What's like one thing that you've seen when it comes to like lighting for video that like people don't do, that if they just did this, like it would like take their lighting from like 1 to 10?
Yeah, good question.
Color balance.
Oh, yep.
There we go.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. And we could have a whole nother show on that.
Right. I see a lot of places not think about it. I've seen a lot of LEDs who are so used to just the in-person experience, just totally throw it out. They're not thinking about it. They're not putting the emphasis into a good color balance of their stage wash, or even the accent lights, the lights that are on the back of the stage, and what temperatures you're using, that sort of thing for camera. I've always done video production as long as I've done lighting, so I've always looked at lighting design on stage, both the face light and when budget allows, when that's in that important. Yeah. But the lighting design for the face light, as well as whatever kind of set lighting we have, being the right balance and being the right color temperature for camera. That's something that's not hideous. And I always I go and poke and I look at, I'm like, what is the previous, or what are we seeing in camera? Like, do we like this? Do we want to change something? I kind of ask those questions to the video guys. Like, so I think color balance is a key thing. You start there and then you start color balancing your camera, because as soon as you have an Oompa Loompa look on stage, you start color balancing your camera, that set lighting looks hideous, right? Or those LED, we've all shifted, a lot of us have shifted over to LEDs. LEDs have a very, high frequency, very neon kind of look, and you can lose a lot of that color when you start color balancing and shifting all the different settings in the cameras. Your look on stage can look gross or not what was intended.
Right.
You know,
No,
your
that's-
in-person can look amazing, and then the camera just doesn't play to it when you're trying to adjust for the people on stage.
Are you a fan of using like CTV on your lights? I know
Absolutely.
sometimes that's more.
What's that?
It's like color temperature blue gel.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know that makes the
Quarter
cameras.
and half and 3/4. Yeah. So there's different amounts of, and this is speaking more back to when we're doing incandescent fixtures.
Yeah.
And they're what we're doing is we're cooling. We're I don't want to get into the technical side of it.
That's okay.
but
That's okay.
You're basically making the lights a little bit more bluish instead of as warm of a color. Warm is fine for in person. It doesn't come off horribly, but as soon as you get it on camera, people start looking like a Oompa Loompa, that sort of thing. And what I mean by that is they're very orange, and their skin tones just don't really look natural.
Sure.
And so what you'll do is if you color balance it, or if you add a little CTB and color adjust your lights, they look even better in person, and they look great on camera. The camera, you don't have to throw your white balance around to make people look like people.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's
I've heard that as a little hack, especially I assume if you're doing a virtual event or something to
all the
really.
lights. I haven't done a virtual event where we're not balancing all the lights. Yeah. So, but that's every time I get addressed, they're like, "So have you done work for camera?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, this is gonna be a broadcast event. And I'm like, great, let's do it. Let's make it right.
Sure.
So, and sometimes that means, putting a little more emphasis in your stage wash and on a production level, on going and setting up an event that's just a one-off or whatever.
Yeah.
It is renting the right lights, getting the right lights for that.
Sure.
So, not skimping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we do a little story time on gigs?
Yes. Yes, please. Yes, please.
So what's the most challenging gig you have done
Oh, the most challenging. Ooh.
in terms of
I've
lighting?
tried to block those out. I don't know if there's one that I can talk about that would reflect the experience well to grant me another experience. Are we referring to any sort of traumatizing events?
Well, let's position it like this.
Yeah.
Best, worst, lighting fail.
Best lighting fail and worst lighting fail.
They're probably one and the
Lighting
same.
and worst fail. I'm going to go with the fail that I can speak. That's so far outside of where it's going to affect my work. I had some lights in a rig that were it was a corporate event. It was a general session. It was one of the keynote stages, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty decent size event. I think it was 1,500 or so. And the look that I had on the site or on the scenic elements that are on the back of the stage was these animated gobos that are rotating very, very slowly, very enhancing
Subtle,
the event.
very subtle,
yes. And it would look great. It looked really had a little glimmer to the set. Was 3-dimensional, so it had a little bit of a glimmer and movement to it. And two of the lights started just spinning. Oh no! At like 100% RPM, 100% rotation speed, and oh my goodness, when I realized it didn't take long to realize it because you're just like you're staring at it, going like and you're like release cue, and like brought those lights down and saved it. I mean, basically, it kept. I think it was probably for me. It felt like eternity.
Yeah.
For everybody else was probably a couple seconds of a distraction. Yeah. But I remember just feeling this very much disappointment and confusion of what just happened and like what just what did these lights just do to me?
Yeah.
Didn't really have any negative effects, I'd say, right off the bat of that one. But that was definitely an experience. I was like, oh my goodness! Like,
I would say that's an enhancement.
Enhancing
version,
adding energy to a very boring corporate event. Probably.
I don't think it was that boring, but it was.
Spice this up a little bit.
We had moving lights on it, so. But yeah, I don't know. I've done a couple events that have been that the clock didn't stop. We were working a 27-hour day straight, and it's like, guys, this isn't really safe. Like, you know, we
Right.
should be doing split shifts but when you get into the LD role or the designer's role or programmer's role or whatever, a lot of times it doesn't stop. Like you're from the moment, like in a production sense, you're rolling in to build the moment the trucks hit the dock to the moment doors happen, you know, whatever, like it has to happen no matter, you know, whatever the cost, you know, there's certain, things that kind of get thrown to the side and you just work through it.
Sure.
You know, things being, you know, bathroom breaks and
I honestly, I'm sure a lot of people listening feel that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, what's the saying? The show must go on, and like it does, and it stops for no one.
For sure.
All right, so Nate, we talked a lot about, you know, your experiences, you know, even favorite gear, but we also, a lot of times on this podcast, every time actually, we say, you know, gear is great, but you know, what's at the heart of what you do? What's your why? What gets you up in the morning to, you know, sit in front of a lighting console and program your brains out? You know, why do you do what you do?
or as I've been doing for the last number of days, sitting behind a computer and designing in CAD or
There you go.
in Vectorworks the entire show. It's, I don't know. I think that early on, I mean, I was brought into this as a young kid and production just became valuable to me. Like it just it gave me this innate it just sense of like having things polished and working towards like the outcome of like having everything kind of ready for somebody to take it in, you know, for an event or whatever. You know, whatever that means, if that's at home designing a show or if that's on site, you know, taping down things because somebody didn't tape them down, you know, that's, I think that drive is what gets me out of bed. Go do, I have a responsibility. It's a job, but you know, I take it as like a responsibility. I go in and I just do my best every time. And I like seeing the outcome come out, you know, like it hurts me every time I go to do an event and, you know, half the crew is not really, they're just there for the paycheck more or less. This is something they've done for years and their drive or their desire to do things well is just, you know, it's gone. And you can tell, you know, you can see the guys who are ready for the clock to hit 5 or whatever, or 10 or 30 in our career, you know, and they're out of there. Or, you know, you see it, you know, or you can tell the people who are, you know, it's kind of all the guys who are in the higher positions, the ones that are most passionate about it. You know, if you want to get into this as a career, as doing, you know, freelancing work or just getting in with a production house or anything, just make sure make sure you have some sort of drive, some sort of passion, some sort of desire, not just about the gear, but about what you're doing, you know, about the outcome of it, because that's going to reflect in how you do your work, why you're going to work, and actually having desire to go to work besides the money, because the money, it fluctuates and it's not always going to be great. You know, I have events that pay great, especially as a business owner. I have events I get paid really well and we get to do some really cool stuff. I have events that just reoccurring work that I do. That's sure, it's a great event still, but it might not be the bee's knees. I might not have all the moving lights I want on it or something. Like, and I say moving lights because, you know, that's something that actually gets me, my blood, you know, flowing. I'm like, we're going to have some fun today.
That and a good hazer.
This is tandem.
Absolutely.
I would definitely say have a passion for it, or to some level. You don't have to have like an absolute, this is my life passion.
Yeah.
Watch out. It can become your life, consume you. I know I've heard a lot of guys who are on the, you know, edge of, you know, losing their relationships or they're working out the balance of, you know, who has the kids and they're trying to work kind of situations. It's definitely, I mean, I've done 120-hour plus weeks, you know, it's, you know, it can test everything. So watch out where you're how much time you give it, or what you agree to do.
Sure.
But yeah, I definitely love it. I wake up every day.
It's easy to tell. I can just look at you and know you love it. Yeah.
But during COVID, it was definitely, I went through a period of like, is this what I'm going to continue to do? Because I wasn't sure if it was coming back.
Yeah.
We had those 18-ish months of I think I did 3 shows in 18 months, and that I was doing like 3 shows in like 2 weeks, before that. So it was a very much like, do I go work driving a front loader at a recycling plant where we got to load trucks? That was an option for me at one point.
Sure.
Guy called me twice. He was like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, I don't really want to do this, but I got to put food on the table, kind of thing. And thankfully I have a amazing wife who still has kept her job through all of this. So we were able to work out, me picking up oddball jobs through it all. But yeah, my passion stayed through. When we came back out of COVID, oh my goodness, like get to do events again. It was like, it's a feeling like, I don't know, it's like your birthday every day.
That's awesome.
So
that's amazing.
It's cool. I think it can show in the production too. It always does too. When you see when
there's that passion behind it.
There's a passion behind it. There's the heart behind it. And I like that you touched on your personal health too, because I think that reflects too. And that's a big deal.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right. That's all the time we have.
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 1
coming to a close
is in the books.
Nate,
seriously, thank you so much for being here. It was honestly a real treat to have you in studio and get to learn from you and your experiences. So it's been super, super helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
For sure. All right, guys. So we are done. Don't forget, hit subscribe, follow the podcast, watch it on YouTube, share it with your friends. We do this podcast to make you feel seen, valued, appreciated. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Anything else, Nate?
I think that's it, man.
Anything else, Nate?
Oh, I think we're good.
All right. Nate, Daniel, thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.
See you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Thank you.